Welcome to an all-new episode of the Loud Casa Talks, a mini episode as we review the latest episodes of the Casagrandes. My name is Nate, and alongside is my good buddy Omid. So, how you been, buddy?
What is up, Loud Crown and Casagrandes? How y'all doing? I hope that y'all getting ready for this year's Halloween.
I'm just wondering. I'm wondering. First off, how excited are you for Halloween this year?
I'm pretty stoked for it. Of course, I'll be dressing up in my Lin Loud costume again. Hopefully, hang out with friends Halloween weekend. Hopefully, but like either way, I'm gonna spend my time watching horror movies and stuff.
Really, I'm not a fan of horror movies, so don't invite me, please.
I'm not either, honestly. I rarely watch horror movies only because I watch other genres more so than horror. But
Yeah,
like, yeah.
I try my best to actually play like horror esque video games to help me out. Like was it Silent Hill or Resident Evil or what other video games are out there? Oh, Back for Blood, which I'm currently playing actually.
Yeah, how is it?
It's fun. It's fun. You need a PC, by the way. Come on, Omi. Get into the
That's cool.
PC. Get into the PC game eventually. But as for
It costs
me,
mullah.
yeah, as for me, this week has been quite interesting. I quit my job this week, so I am now on the job hunt again. So that's fun, huh? Right, right. I hope it's gonna be okay.
That's for the best anyway.
Hmm.
You don't need them.
I know. And then for Halloween, I might be just hanging out with friends, and we're probably going to be hanging out. What we usually do is always hang out at Chipotle. We'll always get our like half off burrito, and then we'll just get boba or something right after that. It's just like nothing really much happening in Halloween anymore. It's not the same old, you know, um, trick or treating that we always did when we were kids.
Yeah, but yeah, man, it's like we too old for this stuff. We're old fogies, so yeah.
Right, right. How about you, Omid? How's your week been?
My week has been pretty cool. Of course, I've been watching all new Amphibia, all new Ghost of Miki. I'm almost done with Squid Game. I'm almost done with Squid Game.
Oh. By the way,
I
I'm on that. I'm on that Squid Game too. By the way,
I'm
don't spoil it for me because I'm only like halfway in. I'm currently gonna watch episode 6, which FYI, everyone tells me that it's the most pivotal episode in episode
It
6.
actually is. I've seen it myself. I won't give away
Okay,
anything. By the
okay.
way, it gave me a cosplay idea also. I plan
Shut
to
up! I'm
be
cosplaying it too. Shut up! I'm cosplaying it too. We're gonna be one of those guards. Are you gonna be
Ali.
a per?
I wanna
Okay,
be
yeah,
Ali.
you can be a good ally. You have to be taller, but I mean, whatever. You can be a good ally. I was actually thinking about just being a random person. I know there's a Filipino guy who's like with the 101 squad, and I'm like, huh. Somebody freaking pointed out that it looks like me. I'm like, no, what are you talking about? It doesn't look like me. But then I
Oh
looked
my
at it, and I'm like,
god.
oh shit, it does look like me. um, I already have a cosplay all set up, but I'm gonna be heading over to KomoriCon in November, and that's a cosplay I'm gonna be doing. So FYI, for those who are listening, I'm cosplaying as one of the people from Squid Game, or just a random guy from Squid Game.
That's cool, man.
I don't have a specific number, by the way. I have a different number than everybody else has. Just to say it's out the. Let's just say it's out of the range of the 456 people. All right. Okay. Without further ado, let's actually just move on ahead to today's episodes, which, to be honest, is going to be quite interesting. So if you're here for tonight's show, you're going to be here for a good one. But we're going to start off pretty easy. We're going to start off really easy. First off, with the early episodes that came out on September 24th. First off, it's spin-off. So in this synopsis here, after seeing CJ's awesome spin moves, Par helps CJ enter and train for a sign spinning competition. Okay, so first off, I didn't expect this, but a Par and CJ episode. I know we always see Par a lot. Like he'll have his own episode, then we'll always see him hang out with Bobby. But then him with CJ. Were you expecting this idea of an episode with Par and CJ?
I really dug the idea because, in a way, Par is an older brother figure himself, as we have seen in Karate Chops, where he was a karate sensei. Here, however, it's basically the same thing, but instead of karate, it's, well, spinning signs. Now, here in this particular episode, he plays as a big brother mentor to CJ. And what makes this even more wholesome is the fact that he's his second big brother figure behind his BFF Bobby. Now, Bobby is of course, CJ's primary big brother figure. But it's nice to see that Bobby's BFF Par plays a significant role in playing that sort of typical role in CJ's life, also.
I kind of saw that was interesting. The fact that we always see Par hanging out with Bobby, but you never see Par hang out with a Casagrande, and it's an interesting little concept that they actually brought up with Par and CJ. So I understand we're like low and we're really low lacking in the fact that we have CJ episodes. So the fact that we actually have Par and CJ have an episode with at least one of the secondary characters like Par, that tells me that they really are doing a lot of concepts, trying to make them like be more experimental. And I understand that they're doing more focus on the secondary characters, which is great. But with him and CJ, that actually does make it better for CJ and Par to actually have like some focus in character building, if anything.
Yeah, man, I agree, man.
So, how are you liking Par's training? So the thing is that Par obviously saw some awesome stuff with CJ, so that he went to go train with him. So, how do you like Par's training regimen to CJ as he tries to compete for that Great Lake City spinning competition?
Now, as I said before, the big bro, little bro dynamic between Par and CJ is just so wholesome. Really, it's just so heartwarming to watch, especially when you see Par being very encouraging and being very helpful towards CJ and his goal. Like being very helpful, training CJ in sign spinning. It's just, you really do see the connection. You see the genuine chemistry between Par and CJ. It's as if Bobby himself was training CJ. It's just that amazing. It's just that wholesome.
Here's my thing though. I thought Par would actually be like really intense to CJ considering all the training regimen, but it seems like Par has a thing where he's like, you could do it, CJ. I'm looking at these training like episodes, where like somebody trains this one guy and then it can be a little bit hard for them, but it's Par. Apparently, Par is just a really wholesome guy who doesn't really give anything when it comes to like 100% or 110%. It's just pretty much CJ just doing all the spinning skills and pretty much Par just being a helpful support. So to say the least, I would love to have him as a coach if I need him to, help me out with whatever. But he has been very helpful with CJ, and I just love it, the fact that those two are actually working together, especially when it comes to a competition like this.
Exactly, man. I definitely agree. Like, Par himself is just not only an amazing coach and amazing sensei, but he's just a damn good big brother.
I mean, what can't he do? He's a very extreme guy. He freaking loves karate. I mean, he runs his own dojo. So, I mean, I don't know how intense he could be when it comes to sign spinning, but I guess when he sees some awesome skills, he would help them out in any case. And you know what? We need more we need more power episodes now.
Exactly. Like, honestly, like have Par teach Ronnie Ann skateboarding. Oh wait, that happened with Carlos. Never mind, Carlos X.
Okay, but still though, I mean, that was a good Carlos episode. Which, by the way, we need another Carlos episode if possible.
No, the episode was good, but I'm just saying, it'd be interesting to see Par teach Ronnie Ann extreme sports.
Yeah, which happened. You want to see Parsi do that? I thought you were talking about Carlos actually teaching. I'm like, wait a minute, that was an episode already. Okay, so now it's time for the competition, and CJ has been doing great with his first go around, all the way to the finals where he would meet up with a rival spinner named Doyle, who has the skills. Now, here's the other thing too that we also noticed in this episode. CJ is absolutely nervous, so he even says it in the beginning of the episode that his nervousness will be the reason why he might fail in a competition, and his nervousness really did go up to a high level considering that it's a finals. And the other thing too is, his family is also watching as well. So do you feel for CJ in this moment here, that there's so much pressure for him, especially for a final match like this? And also, did you like Carl? Okay, and the other thing too is that Carl was also there as well. Did you like Carl in this part here? Because I kind of felt it was unnecessary for him to actually be helping CJ here.
Okay, now to answer the first question is well, yes, this is definitely a high pressure for this poor kid. I mean, of course he has been training very well with the help of Par, but even so, this is a competition and with many people watching nonetheless, including his family. Honestly, this is a very relatable situation to anyone who is entering a contest because they have this fear of losing and letting everyone down because it's their chance to show what they're made of in front of hundreds of people. They don't want to, embarrass excuse me, they don't want to fall short and feel embarrassed about themselves. This doesn't happen with just sign spinning competition. This happens with like any kind of competition in general, whether it's a basketball game or a dance competition or Super Smash Bros. Tournament or whatever. But so yeah, I sort of feel what CJ is going through, and I hope that he turns out okay. Oh, and also as for Carl helping CJ out, well, of course, this is season 2, so of course Carl Casagrande has to play a role in an episode one way or another. What do you all
I
expect?
feel like Carl is playing a role in each of these episodes, minus the last episode we'll explain in the end of this review. But I kind of felt that it was kind of unnecessary for Carl to actually like help out. I understand it was more for CJ just to feel more relaxed. But look what Carl did. All he did was just pretty much steal signs. And in the end, it didn't matter because all the signs were found because he went to the stage. I'm like, okay, so this was just pretty much like what, 2 minutes of filter?
Exactly. It's just there as a reminder to say that, like Carl Casagrande is season 2's favorite character. It's season 2's way of saying, hey, look, everyone, here's the best character in the Casagrandes. Even though I kind of disagree, Ronnie Anne's the best character, but whatever.
Ronnie
Anyway,
Anne is
let's
the
move
best
on.
character, or Sid. Everybody else is going
She's
for
the
Ronnie Anne
main
or Sid.
character, not Carl. Come on. It's not called the Carl Casagrandes.
We need more Ronnie Anne episodes, which we will have hopefully. Oh my god! But I feel for CJ in this. I mean, look, when it comes to finals, like when it comes to like a big competition like this, I understand where when it comes to being in a competitive moment, and then you're about to win a championship or win a big prize, the pressure does mount to you. And CJ, it does make sense why he got really like heated in the moment because he is literally spinning for pretty much all the bragging rights and stuff. He is a great spinner of signs, but this Doyle guy is also a great spinner of signs. So definitely for a man like CJ, I mean, we haven't seen, like I said, we haven't seen much of CJ for quite some time. We know that he's a perfect hairstylist, but with a new skill like spinning signs, we didn't know about that until this episode. And the other thing too is that we never see some character building like what we had in this episode. So nervousness is a huge thing that we never seen from CJ, and it definitely shows off quite a bit. It kind of relates to most of us because yeah, we've been into situations like this before. We understand how the pressure mounts when it comes to moments like this. So I feel for CJ, it definitely does show a reflection of like also um, what we also get into when it comes to moments like this.
Yeah, man, exactly. Like that's what honestly what makes me really love this episode, what really sells this episode, what makes it a spin-tastic episode, is just the amount of development, the amount of heart that's put into this episode, and how CJ, like I said, is represented so well as a Down syndrome character. Because at the end of the day, like despite his disability, it doesn't really weigh him down as a character, but rather like it pretty much helps to embrace the character of CJ, and this episode really shows that.
It definitely does. Most definitely. All right. So no matter what, CJ would still have to face off with this Doyle guy. They look great, by the way, neck and neck. They actually ended up all the way to the final move until CJ broke his sign. But you know what, though? What was great at the end was that everybody was fully supporting him. The audience, the family, that he ended up giving a good performance. Even though he didn't win, the ending actually was pretty notable. How did you like the ending, Omid?
Very wholesome. Oh my god, just love the ending. Like very proud. Like I'm just very proud of this kid. CJ did us proud. I also love how it's not just Par and the Casagrandes who really help elevate this ending by being so loving and encouraging towards CJ. But even Doyle himself was shown to be sort of a graceful winner in a sense by shaking hands with him. Like he doesn't rub it in. That's what I like about this episode. Like everyone in this episode feels so wholesome. Everyone in this episode, like everyone in this episode just feels like, they're really nice people who are excited to see a spin show. And Doyle's just turned out to be a better character than I thought because he's not this, cocky, arrogant opponent. No, he's actually a really nice guy.
Was everybody expecting to see Doyle being like, you get it, he has all the skills. Are you going to say that he's a jerk too? But at the end, he's not a jerk. He actually ended up having a fair game. They shook hands. There's no competitive spirit between each of them. I mean, obviously during the competition, there's competitive spirit, but at the end, they still, shake each other's hands. Even though Doyle would win, he still gave his congratulations to CJ, and of course the crowd loves CJ because it just tells you like how amazing CJ is. Even though he's just a first-year person spinning signs, maybe next year we'll have another second competition with Doyle. Maybe that's another episode that's probably going to come up in season 3. But it's good to see CJ have a brand new skill and show it off, and just having a lot of support there, which I thought was just a perfect ending to everything on this episode.
Absolutely, man. I agree. I definitely do. Like I said, I love how the crowd is so encouraging and very supportive of CJ despite the fact that he lost.
Right. It definitely was really wholesome, like you said, Omid. All right, so anything else you want to bring up in this episode?
Yes. Honestly, I just have to say this. CJ, nachos. My God, that
so are you so you like Hector? You would go for nachos. I mean Hector. I mean
the nachos are delicious, man. Yeah, honestly, that's another thing too. Like this episode really does have some pretty funny moments, like the nacho scene. And
I love the fact that like CJ has so many good skills. Like apparently, like passing out nachos, where he would like throw a sign at the nacho guy, and it gives everybody nachos, and he would actually give money too. So I'm like, okay, he can do everything with the sign.
Yeah.
So I thought that was pretty cool to see. I don't know, sign spinning. I always see them out on the streets doing their own sign spinning. I never expected to be a competition like what you see here in this episode. But to say the least, though, it sounded like fun if you put it in an episode like this.
Yeah, definitely, man.
Okay. So what is your rating? What's your rating for this episode?
Honestly, I'm going to give this a 9 out of 10. This was a totally spintastic episode. I loved it so much. It was about time that we got actual focus on CJ, like mainly CJ himself, because the last time that we got even remotely close to it was a Shortcut, but that was mainly Carlota, while CJ was playing a secondary role to it. But yeah, this episode was definitely what we needed to sort of like take a break from this ongoing trend, like really, really long trend of Carl Casagrandes episodes. And so like, yeah, it really delivered on the heart. It really delivered on, the relationship between Par and CJ. And like, it really delivered on the message of winning isn't everything as long as you have fun with it. Don't be nervous. I felt that the episode really delivered on the message very well. It's a really important lesson to teach.
I think overall this episode was wholesome. More emphasis on Par, more emphasis on CJ. I kind of felt that Carl scene was unnecessary, but the episode overall looked really great. Teaches you a lesson of like, winning isn't everything. It's pretty much the competition. It's pretty much like your skills in the competition, how good you are. If CJ actually ended up winning, it's pretty much saying like what was that one episode what was that Lol episode, Down and Out? It's kind of
Down and
like
Out,
that. Yeah, kind of been like down and out to say, right? Like where Lola didn't win, and then it just tells you like go for it next time or something like that. So it's done wholesome episodes like this, which I thought was good.
It sort of was like the down and out of the Casagrandes, but like it doesn't go lather, rinse, repeat. Thankfully,
no, it
has its own spin on it.
Yeah. Okay, putting the puns there again. But yeah, I give it an 8 out of 10. I think the Carl moment kind of a little ruined it. But like I said, not a bad episode. I thought it was great. More emphasis on Par, and definitely a good CJ episode because we have missed CJ episodes. We have not seen CJ's episodes in so long, and I'm glad we're actually getting back to it.
Yeah, here's the thing. Like, if not for the Carl bit, if not for the part with Carl, this would have been a perfect 10 out of 10 because everything else about the movie just really worked.
Oh yeah, I mean, definitely did. Okay, so let's head over to our next episode that also aired on the 24th of September. It is called Tooth or Consequences. All right, so the synopsis here says, when Adelaide loses a tooth, Carl and Bobby teaches her about El Raton, the Latin America tooth fairy. Now, first off, how many Carl Adelaide moments have we gotten so far? I swear to God, because a lot of them here. Already from the beginning of this episode, I'm like, oh, look at those two. They're coloring together. This is cute.
Yes.
um, how many Carl and Adelaide moments have you had so far? And how did you like how this episode began with these two?
Bruh, countless moments, man. From Uptown Funk to the sleepover to even Kid plays in the picture. Karate chops, baby. Like, oh my God, there's a list I can go on and on. It's just, yes, beautiful. And look at how the episode introduces like these two. Look at them. They're eating cookies and drawing pictures together. It's just like, oh, look at that.
I know, it's cute.
Carly Chipping Fuel. Carly Chipping Fuel, baby. Let's go. Oh, and there's a part where Carl was flexing his muscles, like trying to showing her his drawing of Buff Carl, and I was like, "Ooh, Carl trying to show his biceps for his lady. He trying to be her Hercules, man. He trying to be her
man. Oh man, we're putting all the shipping feel for Carl and Adelaide now.
Let's go."
I love it how they began with this, just because it's like, oh, Carl and Adelaide do. I would say obviously they're just friends, but I mean, I guess for all the fans who love to ship those two together, I can totally see that happening. They're just really having chemistry with those two actually working together. So I hope that this Carl and Adelaide moments that continue to happen in episodes like this, we hope to get more of these, because it just tells me like I can totally see like Adelaide liking Carl. Maybe like those two are probably gonna play Prince and Princess eventually. I mean, they played superhero together. I would not be surprised if like Adelaide just makes Carl a prince, and then they play Rapunzel or something, and so Adelaide will just like be off at rescuing her. I don't know. This is gonna be interesting. I can totally see Adelaide have like a little fairy tale story with Carl.
You literally just gave me an idea. A Casagrande version of Tangled with Adelaide as Rapunzel and Carl as Eugene. Flynn Rider. Yes.
So we're putting the drawings for everybody. Where's the fan artists out there?
Yes.
Okay. All right. So let's go on to the episode now, because Adelaide will lose her tooth. That's the point of the episode. And she would know about. I mean, she has the knowledge of the tooth fairy, but the thing is that Carl and Bobby Carl knows about this other tooth fairy called El Raton, which does the same thing. Pretty much like comes into the night, takes your teeth, and gives you money. So first off, how did you like? Okay, so the other thing too is that believing in that, Adelaide would obviously put her tooth down and try to wait for El Raton, but the next day she didn't get any money, which angered Adelaide. So first off, how do you like an angered Adelaide? I'm like, oh my God, I didn't know you would actually burst down the window and burst down the door and. Oh my God, like I just want money. I guess that's how her attitude was. And then second, would you blame Bobby for making El Raton leave?
Okay, first thing I have to point out, I really loved when Adelaide karate kicked the door, like, yeah! Like when she that was a nice little detail. Nice little touch of continuity. I just loved it. Loved it. Second off, now I understood Adelaide's anger completely. Trust me, if I was promised money and I found out that there was none under my pillow the next morning, trust me, I'd be pissed too, okay? I would be pissed. And third off, honestly, Bobby's mistake is sort of it's an understandable one, maybe because, well, it's a Bobby-like mistake. But here's the thing, at the same time, who would honestly mistake a little mouse for a rat-toothed fairy? I mean, really, come on. No, I don't think anyone would look at this little mouse and think, oh, here's El Raton, here's the rat tooth fairy, right? I mean, so in a way, it's a harmless Bobby-like mistake, but at the same time, it's not really his fault per se.
It really isn't his fault. I mean, they all blame on Bobby, just the fact that, like, Bobby was doing his job and then he just found a rat that was pretty much scouring around the Mercado. If I was actually Bobby, I would do this. I would do the same thing and just force the rat out. But he didn't know it was going to be El Raton, and obviously, all the blame goes to him. Carl got angry at Bobby. Adelaide got angry at Bobby. Nonetheless, El Raton is gone. So literally, no child has money right now. Man, they still have their baby teeth. So it's like, oh, okay. So we're all gonna put the blame on Bobby, and yeah, that was pretty much how it is. I'm like, I feel bad for Bobby. At the same time, I feel bad that the kids are just pretty much egging on him just because he pretty much put El Raton away.
The poor guy was trying to do his job, for God's sake. Come on, cut the guy some slack.
Exactly. I feel bad for
Cut the
Bobby. Like,
cut
it's
the guy
Bobby
some
being
slack.
It's Bobby being Bobby, and El Raton, we haven't seen him, but I don't know.
Yes.
So
How dare he try to take care of his mercado? How dare he try to do his job? Right?
So now it becomes a mission for Bobby and Carl to bring El Raton back with cheese, fishing in the sewers, and even shoes that Adelaide even brought in. How do you like the little plans here?
I thought they were all very interesting and very creative ideas, like making sense coming from the minds of Bobby, Carl, and Adelaide, respectively. Now, as for the trio of Carl, Bobby, and Adelaide, I'm going to say this was an interesting trio. This is a trio that actually managed to work. You got Carl's, well, in my head canon, girlfriend, and Carl's brother figure, which is technically his cousin. So, in a way, that you got the whole trio pretty much working out. Like, it's like watching the main protagonist, his girlfriend, and his bros slash friend. Like, you pretty much got that whole trio complete.
My thing though is that everything throughout that whole sequence was actually pretty funny. Look, Bobby obviously dressing up as cheese would actually attract the mouse, but it actually attracted Vito and the dog. So it's like, well then I didn't know expecting that happen. The fishing for El Raton was actually pretty funny. The fact that like an alligator came out. And I love how Adelaide was just like, "Give me my tooth back. You have more teeth." And he made the alligator quiet and just tells you,
She
like,
stood up to an alligator.
Adelaide is awesome.
She stood up to an alligator. Oh my God. Like, Adelaide is the best daughter to have. It's just like a 6-year-old girl standing up to a big alligator. I'm just like, yes.
She's adorable.
Yes,
and
she
has so much skills. What is going on with Adelaide? We're just continuing to love pretty much most of the Changs, like Sid and Adelaide. And then the third one too, where Adelaide had those little boots. I'm like, oh, we're just gonna do a little like fashion show for the mouse. I love the fact that also the mice were even like taking all the food away. So it's like, oh yeah, this is what happens. So
honestly,
that whole sequence was hilarious.
The shoe part was my favorite. The shoe part was my favorite.
Yeah, it was to say at least it was just all funny, which I thought was cool. Just to have a little more comedy here instead of actually having like a little mad moment where we don't have an El Raton in this episode. Okay, so with all their plans ruined, this leaves Adelaide sad. I kind of felt bad about that because Adelaide was literally crying all the way back home. I'm like, oh, Adelaide, I'm sorry, El Raton is gone. El Raton is not gone. So this left Adelaide sad, which makes Carl and Bobby do another plan to make up a new El Raton. By the way, don't pick up don't pick up random mice and give them money because they will scam you. Were you expecting that to happen, and how did you like the efforts to make Adelaide happy with making her believe El Raton?
First off, I just gotta say one thing. Poor Adelaide crying, just like in Growth.
Yeah. It's like the second time I seen her cry.
I don't want to see Adelaide cry again. You're gonna make me cry, okay? It's like... Now, thankfully, Carl says he doesn't want to let Adelaide down, and he does try to cheer his girl up by coming up with a plan to make a replacement El Raton of his own. A smart mouse, if you will. They train him to climb walls. They get to tooth him under a pillow without being seen, which doesn't exactly go well and results in Bobby accidentally waking up Hector, causing him to chase Bobby and hit him with a belt. Hey, Bobby, at least it's not a chancla, okay? Trust me, a belt is far merciful by comparison, okay? So you got off pretty easy. But of course, the mouse used the money to skip town to go out of town. So, yep, they pretty much got scammed.
I kind of thought like when I first saw that that mouse already kind of is bad news. The fact that he pretty much used the mouse pretty much used Bobby throughout the whole episode, just going through all the trials to make him El Raton. So when Carl gave him the money, I knew immediately. I'm like, yeah, this is gonna be a scam.
I'm like, you little rat.
Yeah, I mean, it's a rat, mouse. But it's a freaking mouse or a rat, and he'll always take the money and stuff like that. So I mean, the other thing too is like he had this little like ear piercing, so it kind of tells me like he could be a bad mouse. And yeah, look, he literally used Bobby throughout the whole thing to make him look like El Raton. And in the end, that is all gone now. So it's so unfortunate because the thing is that they try to make him believe El Raton. Same with the whole kids as well, because apparently other kids were also losing their teeth. So they're hoping El Raton would come back, and Adelaide got even more angrier because El Raton didn't come back, and it's just more of like, you guys made a really bad plan, considering that you picked up a really bad mouse who actually went to Scotland and who actually went to Switzerland and actually went to like some sort of cheese festival. And I'm like, oh well, that's what you get. So yeah, bad plan overall, but I just love the whole comedy bit there. Now here's the other thing too. Obviously those plans don't work, so what does Bobby do? Become El Raton. Look, I thought this was hilarious too. I mean, like, he literally was climbing up a wall just to get up to Adelaide's room and try to exchange that tooth for money. But at the same time, El Raton actually did appear where Bobby can see him. It is unfortunate that's only lasted for like 5 seconds because he actually did fall down into the trash can. Either way, everybody got their money. El Raton did appear. So to say the least, the whole legend of El Raton is actually real. Explain how your thoughts are in the ending of this episode.
First off, I just got to say this. Bobby is quite the cosplayer, isn't he? Like, first
doesn't look like El Raton. Maybe just the ears and the whiskers or something like that.
No. First he's El Falcone, now he's El Raton. Yeah, it's just, I wonder what Bobby's going to dress up next. So it turns out that the real El Raton did come after all. It turns out that he was just like coming from Chile. I really like that ending because, well, at the end of the day, we want to see Adelaide happy and get her money from El Raton, just as Carl does. It was still nice of Carl and Bobby to cook up a scheme and have Bobby play the role of El Raton himself anyway to make Adelaide happy. It really does show, like, not just how much Carl really cares for Adelaide, but it also shows Bobby's side as well, where it really shows how much of an awesome dude Bobby is, and he doesn't want to let anyone down. He's just that good-hearted of a guy.
Yeah, I know that. Bobby. Look, I think the other thing too is that Bobby was felt really guilty. The fact that he led El Raton out of, I believe, Great Lake City. So to say the least, he would do whatever it takes to get El Raton back, even cosplaying as El Raton. But the fact that El Raton actually did come back is actually like a good resolution there. I kind of felt like it was a little small cop out. The fact that El Raton just only left because he had some family business in Chile. But he still came back. It just took him like a couple of days for El Raton to actually do his business and actually take some teeth and give some money to kids. But I still think that the ending was still a little bit more wholesome to say. Just the fact that Adelaide now believes him, same with the kids. Even an alligator actually believes him too. So I don't know. The alligator joke is actually pretty funny in this episode. Okay.
Yeah, I'm just like, all of a sudden, alligator low-key believes in El Raton.
Oh no, there's no low-key. There's no. Oh my god, this guy that's going for like whenever alligator talk comes up, he always wants to refer to Loki. I'm like, come on.
It's like Loki's in the Casagrandes. He's a Casagrande character.
Either way, the ending sound was pretty cool. I love how like Carl pretty much like was thinking that Bobby actually did play El Raton and actually did work out pretty great. But Bobby's trying to prove himself like, hey, El Raton did come by, and nonetheless he will probably come by every time now, considering Bobby actually did lose a tooth too, so he'll probably get some money as well. Nonetheless, I would say not bad of an ending. Like I said, it fell a little bit short. The fact that El Raton actually just went to Chile for a couple of days and that's the reason why some people got angered about it. But I'd say not bad for ending to say. Anyway, anything else you want to bring up in this episode?
Yes. Now this would have been a perfect opportunity for Bobby himself to play as sort of a wingman to Carl. Like, like,
oh my god.
I was like, the moment I saw that, it's Carl and Bobby trying to do this for Adelaide, I'm just like, oh my god, yes, Bobby's gonna be in the wingman for Carl. He's gonna be like, go get her, Carl. If you love her, Carl, you go get her. But then it turns out not to be the case, which is sort of a letdown. But then again, it doesn't really detract from the episode. It's just something that I wish could happen. But
look, we're just determining that Carl and Adelaide are currently friends right now. I mean, come on, stop the fucking shit. I get it, you're all shippers, but I'm like, yeah,
all aboard.
Let your dreams be headcanons until they become canon.
All aboard.
Oh my god. I mean, I have my headcanons too. Stupid Lincoln.
Don't we all? Who doesn't have a headcanon? we all have heads, so
I
head
know,
canon.
I know,
Yeah.
exactly. I'm just saying. I mean, like, I mean that what I'm seeing right now is that Carl and Adelaide are still, good friends. But you know what? It's still leaning towards the fact that those two can actually become a couple. I'm just, not really saying like I'm there yet. That I'm gonna say I'm gonna ship them 100% and all that kind of stuff. All right, so, but yeah, I would say not bad of an episode. I got nothing else to say about it. All right, so I mean, how would you rate this episode?
I'm gonna rate this an 8 out of 10. It was a pretty solid Carl, Bobby, and Adelaide episode. They actually managed to work off each other very well. Like there was a few things that could have been done differently. Like I said, when I mentioned about Bobby and also the ending, like El Raton just all of a sudden like conveniently showed up right now when they all like after they thought it was all Bobby's fault. So, but everything else about it, like I like the mystery of it. I also liked the teamwork of the three of them. It's nice to see Bobby and Adelaide interact with each other, like work as a team, like the siblings of the BFFs working together. It's sort of interesting. They managed to make it work.
I have to say 8 out of 10 as well. I like the fact about the mystery of El Raton because you never expect a Latin America Tooth Fairy actually happening, but it's cool that they actually do have their own El Raton or Tooth Fairy to say, and just the fact that they have this mystery of like Bobby pretty much putting him away, but it actually turns out to be a real thing. So I would say nonetheless it was pretty fun of an episode. I really love the funny moments that actually happened in this episode. So to say the least, not bad. Really good to say. It's just the fact that there's like another Carl and Adelaide episode. I understand that some people might think it's a Carl episode again just because Carl's already in an episode, but no, it's actually Adelaide, Carl, and Bobby in this, and I just love the fact that Carl and Bobby. Another thing too is that I also want to point out Carl and Bobby actually were like bros in this episode as well because both of them were trying to work each other out to make sure Adelaide doesn't, feel sad that there's no El Raton at all, like she got lied to or something.
Yeah, they do manage to work well with each other as a team. And it's not the first time that we've seen the Carl and Bobby duo, of course. You've seen like Sink or Swim. You've
Dynamic Do
seen
Over. I mean, that's the one that
Dynamic
we
Do
all
Over.
love. Yeah.
Dynamic Do Over. Dynamic Do Over, I still say is the best Bobby episode, hands down. And also, to the consequences, here they managed to make the duo work all just the same. And let me tell you, that is the tooth. Okay, I'm speaking the tooth.
It is the tooth. In your case,
you can't handle the tooth.
Man, you're gonna put puns all over this, but that's okay. We're here for fun. We're here for fun tonight. All right. Next up, we're going to head over to the October 1st episodes of the Casagrandes, and we'll start it off with the first episode that aired. It's called Strike Coach. The synopsis here says Ronnie Ann and her friends help get Mrs. Kernicki hired as their new PE coach, but her classes are no joke. So you'll remember Coach Crawford from Team Effort. I mean, Omi knows it just because the voice actor was in that, was the voice of Coach Crawford. It seems he is retiring, and it seems that he really worked them out to the core. I mean, you can see throughout that monologue, you totally get to see like, oh my God, he's really working them out, even dressing up as a girl for them to just work out. How did you take the news that he's retiring, and did you think it was necessary knowing that he was really reckless to them?
Okay, so I have mixed feelings about this one. Now, out of context reasons, now this is going to be a personal bias on my end, but I'm a fan of Jonathan Banks. For those who don't know, he was Mike Ehrmantraut from Breaking Bad and Better Call Saul, both of which are two of my favorite shows ever. And he was one of my favorite characters from that particular universe. So there's a part of me that kind of misses him because of that. However, for in-context reasons, I felt that these kids deserved a more easygoing coach.
Yeah, I would say so too. I mean, first off, he was already mean in Team Effort to say. Like, look at him when he's trying to challenge the squad to, go to this little competition in order for them to, get their skateboard team together. But it didn't work out. So yeah, he turned out, look, you already know that he's going to be a bad coach in Team Effort. I can't believe he's still here until Stripe Coach happened where he retired. I'm like, oh God, thank goodness he's gone. I feel for Omid because Omid lost his favorite voice actor in the show. But to say the least, I mean, he was just one secondary character. I thought we were going to emphasize him more, but I guess we're not. He was just only one person in Chavez Academy teaching the kids PE, and that was pretty much it. So
Like,
goodbye to Mr. Crawford. Yeah, we'll see how it goes.
yeah, honestly like I was sort of like wanting like Coach Crawford to say what the reason why he's so hard on these kids is because they don't want he doesn't want these kids to have half measures per se. Like I would imagine Coach Crawford would be like, no more half measures, Ronnie Ann.
Whatever. I don't. I mean, that was a breaking. That was very. That wasn't Breaking Bad, and for those who watch Breaking Bad, you'll understand the line there.
Best show ever. Best show ever.
Okay, so
Yeah.
here's the thing: who would replace him? It makes sense for a person in the neighborhood called Mrs. Kernicki to teach the class to people, to teach the class to the kids. I mean, she's already teaching classes at the park, and they have already a great idea for our next coach. First off, Mrs. Kernicki, she's a fitness person. You can totally see her just pretty much work out wherever we always see her in an episode of the Casagrandes. Did you think she would be a great fit teaching kids?
Honestly, if I were a kid going to elementary school, I would definitely pick her as my first choice. Mainly because I don't want to be pushed too much in gym class either, especially since I'm not an athlete myself. I like to take it nice and easy. Nice and easy.
This isn't SpongeBob, okay?
Nice and easy.
Okay,
Oh.
we got you.
No, there's a scene where she says "nice and easy," and then the kids just like flying around.
Right. Okay, so you're trying to be in a trance, like what Mrs. Kernicki did to them.
Exactly.
Look, the thing I see from Mrs. Kernicki is that she's a person who loves to be all about fitness. You can totally see in the beginning where in the park where she pretty much worked out Rosa and Hector to the core, and the fact that like Hector needed like some churros to actually make him work out, which I thought was funny. You can totally see that she could be pretty, I would say, gentle, but also at the same time, she is still like a person who would also teach like athletics to people, to people that need to have the fitness. So it makes sense. I understand it makes sense for Mrs. Grinick to come in. It actually gives an emphasis that say, hey, she's not just a secondary character who also have to work out in the Casagrandes apartment, but to say the least, I'd just love to see her in this coaching role so that you can actually see her more in this in the Casagrandes and just put more emphasis on her just because she's a great person who works out and a great person who can also become a great like PE coach. So I would say he definitely does make a great fit, especially for teaching these kids about how to work out instead of like, for example, Coach Crawford.
Yeah, definitely. Mrs. Kernicki seems more like a more elementary school kids gym teacher like level than Coach Crawford, mainly because they're elementary school kids.
Yeah, exactly. And Coach Crawford was pretty much tough on them. Look, this is a person, like you said, I mean, is nice and easy, but later on we'll get to see why she isn't that. Now, Mrs. Kernicki would get the job, and the kids would soon take advantage of her as they think of her as just an easygoing gym teacher. But knowing how lazy Ronnie and her squad has been, she actually made the move for every class to have pretty much workout stuff. I mean, the cafeteria having pretty much being an obstacle course. Every class having bikes. Even the bathroom, you have to lift 50 pounds in order for you to actually go to the bathroom. So how did you like these changes? Did you feel like it was very intense?
Okay, now I'm all for pushing the kids to, get fit, to pretty much exercise so that they could be healthy and reach their potential and, so that they could stop being lazy cats. But revamping the whole school to make it all about gym and exercising, I gotta say it's a little bit extreme. Just a bit extreme. No, actually, it's actually way too extreme, if you ask me. Now, of course, the kids shouldn't have been so lazy and take advantage of Miss Kernicki's easygoing attitude. And I do get why Mrs. Kernicki is doing this. I get why. But at the same time, though, I feel like she shouldn't have punished the entire school. Honestly, it would have been much better if she had only pushed Ronnie Ann and her squad with all these exercise equipment. Because at the end of the day, it was only them that was taking advantage of this whole situation. Whereas the other kids were at least trying to get their exercise. It's not like the rest of the students were taking advantage of Miss Kernicki. It was just these guys.
Yeah, exactly. Because when you actually see like how everybody was working through PE, it literally was just Ronnie and the squad just pretty much being lazy. I mean, freaking Samir was pretty much like sleeping throughout the whole PE. All the workouts that Mrs. Karnicki was doing. I mean, I understand Mrs. Karnicki was pretty much like looking through them and saying like, "Oh, you only ran 5 steps. Why are you all lazy now?" So it kind of tells you like, yeah, Mrs. Karnicki doesn't like it. Obviously, she's a workout person. So what you do a drastic move and make everything a workout, which sucks because like I wouldn't actually survive that. What, run every time while we actually learn history, or go through get your lunches by going through an obstacle course? It's pretty much like going through Wipeout to get food. I'm like, oh my goodness, that's obviously you will never win.
Yeah, like
It was
honestly, I
crazy.
would
It was
die.
crazy. It was crazy. And the other thing too is like this is something that we never see from Mrs. Karnicki. I thought you were just a nice old lady, but no, you can actually become intense sometimes.
Bro, if that happened to me, I would die within the first 20 minutes, okay? Like I said, I'm not that athletic, so I wouldn't survive.
I'm the opposite, but either way, I would probably still not be okay with it. Either way, it's still the kids were still go through classes by running or sitting by like pretty much biking on their bicycles, and at the same time going through lunch, just going through an obstacle course, which sucks because like say for example what Samir faced, he literally was pretty much going through a roundabout the whole damn time. So, so it's intense. But I'm like, I didn't expect this to see from this Gurnick. It's so surprising. What? So Ronnie Ann would come up with a plan to get Mrs. Valenzuela, which is their principal, to fire Mrs. Gurnicki and making modifications to her bike. That is until Ronnie Ann's squad would actually end up knowing what the reward was for those intense workouts in the arcade. How'd you like this reward scene here in the episode?
I do like seeing Ronnie and squad enjoy themselves in what is pretty much Great Lakes City's own Gus's Games and Grub. They
Mm-hmm.
then soon realize that Mrs. Kernicki isn't so bad after all, and they do try to go back to school and fix the principal's bike that the squad rigged.
I kind of felt that it was like I said, this Ripper Reward just tells you like, yeah, you went through all this intense workouts, but at the same time, look at you now. You're doing better at DDR. You can actually win the strength competition. You even can bike well in a video game. So to say the least, they actually they understand that workouts do help out. I mean, exercise is necessary for all of these kids to pretty much have a healthy life. It can't be all lazy bones for PE. So I love how Mrs. Gradicki actually did put the step up here. Yes, it might be a little bit extreme, but at the same time, it was rewarding at the end, and the reward actually did show off there in that arcade.
Yeah, exactly. Like I feel like it's less of a reward and more of a message that Miss Kernicki is trying to send to these kids. It's sort of a message like she's trying to send to them saying like, see how fit you all are now. See how much better you're doing in all these arcade games. See, I told you exercise would be, a good thing. Like it's sort of that thing mainly.
To say the least, though, I mean, like if I go through an intense thing like that, I better see my results from it. Like, oh, is my fat pretty much like all gone? Like, am I still showing muscles after what you did, Mrs. Kriticky? I'm like, this is intense, but I swear to God, I hope I actually am fit for this. But yeah, like I said, it just shows off in the arcade. Now, here's the thing, though. You know that whole plan where they rigged Mrs. Venezuela's bicycle? Oh yeah, that's still there. They weren't able to actually make it on time to actually fix the bike, which led to Mrs. Valenzuela actually like going awry, actually crashing into cake in the cafeteria, which also led to Mrs. Kernicki getting fired until Ronnie Ann had to step up and apologize for the mishap. How'd you like this little ending here in Stripe Coach?
Now, of course, props to Ronnie Yan for her honesty, but at the same time, it's sort of expected from a Loud Cuss episode where whenever like a main character or a character that is focused on said episode lies or makes a mistake, they manage to try to fix it or succeed in fixing it and then apologize at the end and all is forgiven. It's sort of a it's sort of a usual sort of way to go, a usual sort of route they take with the episode stories. Either way, though, like I said, props to Ronnie Ann and props to Mrs. Kernicki for turning everything back to normal.
Yeah, I really props out to Mrs. Kernicki. I mean, just showing that little intense workout just pretty much tells you, like, yeah, learn your lesson from being all lazy. Now it makes you guys all work out in PE. Um, the whole scene there where Mrs. Valenzuela actually, got into all this ruckus here, was actually pretty funny. at the same time, Ronnie Ann apologizing to to the principal and to Mrs. Kernicki here, I think was just necessary. It just tells you like it kind of feels like one of those Loud House episodes where like Lincoln did a mistake, then immediately after finding out he just apologized. It's kind of like what would Lincoln do, for example. So to say the least, it was obviously expected that Ronnie would have to apologize, and nonetheless, it was great to see an episode like this. I kind of feel bad for Laird, by the way. He wanted to pee. God, he still has to weigh 50 pounds in order for you to go to the bathroom. It sucks.
The dude can't even weigh like 5. Like Laird's a wimp, for God's sake. He can't even lift like 5 pounds, let alone 10, let alone 500. So it's
I know.
Yeah, he's gonna have like he's not even gonna come close to succeeding like in going to the bathroom at this point.
So yeah, the ending was not bad. I thought that was pretty okay. All right, Omid. Anything else you want to point out in this episode?
Yes, it's actually really nice to see Mrs. Kernicki play a significant role in an episode. Whereas in the other episodes, she was just the neighbor, the fitness neighbor, and that's pretty much it. Like I want to see more characters play significant roles in future episodes. Like let's say Nelson. Let's say well, we already got Maybelle, but I'm also talking about some of the other neighbors that need to get more focus.
Like I'm saying, we are focusing more on the secondary characters. I'm absolutely okay with them with an episode for Mrs. Kernicki. And the other thing too is like I totally forgot about this, but she also did have a significant role in the spinoff. She apparently was like a host to the games that CJ was spinning. So
yeah, she was. But
yeah, she was just an announcer. I guess not a big emphasis. But the thing is that we love to see how Mrs. Kernicki actually gets like introduced. I really hope we get more secondary character episodes like this. It just feels fun to see them actually have more of an important role in the show than just being a random character just literally on the side. So I'm happy. I'm actually happy to see Mrs. Kernicki have her own episode. I just hope she just continues to be the PE coach so I can see more of her and hopefully see her work out with Ronnie Ann. Maybe I would not be surprised if like Ronnie Ann teaches her like skateboard lessons. That would be a pretty cool thing to see.
Yeah, it kind of would. Like I mentioned how it'd be nice to see Parr teach Ronnie Ann extreme sports. Same thing with Mrs. Kernicki. I feel Mrs. Kernicki could pull it off as well. Or maybe they could become co-coaches for Ronnie Ann. Parr and Mrs. Kernicki teaching Ronnie Ann together. That'd be pretty awesome to see.
That'd be pretty awesome. Yeah, that'd be pretty cool to see. All right. So how would you rate this episode?
Honestly, I'm gonna give this a 7.5 out of 10. I do admire what they're trying to go for. Like, it's better to be more fit, be more healthy, exercise more instead of being, lazy bones and all that stuff. I like that lesson because it's a lesson that is necessary to teach the audience, well, including and especially myself. However, I felt that the way that Miss Kernicki went on about was a bit too extreme. Like, instead of just taking the, kids up to the side and, pretty much have them work their asses off. Like she pretty much goes out of her way to make the entire school work out 24/7. I'm just like, okay, I do see what you're trying to go for, but at the same time, though, there was a different way you could have done it.
Yeah, definitely. But it's just only like a 1-day regimen. So to say the least, like I think like Mrs. Kernicki's little emphasis of actually letting them work out, being a little bit extreme sometimes, I think it was a good way for them to say, hey, I'm really focused on you, pretty much getting yourself out of your lazy butts and actually working out. And, like I said, the payoff actually happened in this episode, which I thought was awesome to see. And, I would say, yeah, a little bit extreme, but the flow of the episode kind of just tells you, like, you need to work out, the kids need to work out so that the kids need to work out and exercise in order for them to have a healthy life, AKA kind of felt like that Loud House episode Health Kick, right? Except this wasn't like as extreme like what Mrs. Kernicki did to them.
Yeah, no, exactly. At least in Health Kicked, the Loud parents pretty much stayed strictly to the Loud kids to do some exercise. At least they restricted it only to the Loud kids and not to like the entire neighborhood or whatever.
Right. And I like I said, sorry, I lost my train of thought there. But to say the least, though, not bad of an episode. I'll give it a 7.5 as well. Like I said, really good to introduce Mrs. Kernicki that way. maybe we can have more episodes of Mrs. Garnicki where we can actually focus more on her about health and stuff like that. We get it. She's a person who loves to work out. Having her as a coach really does help imply it here in school. So I'm very happy that Mrs. Garnicki has a new job. Let's just hope that job still stands, as more episodes come out for the Casagrandes, because I would love to see her again, just giving more workout tips or helping them out or things like that.
Definitely, yeah. I agree, man.
All right, so let's over to our next episode that also aired on October 1st. We always say we always want to save the best for last, but today, this episode, we're going with the worst. We're going to end with the worst. Is that what we're going to be doing it tonight, guys? Is that how it's going to be tonight? Okay, I guess we're going to start with it. All right. Next episode that aired on October 1st called Gossipy Girl. All right, so let's go with the synopsis here. I actually tweaked up the synopsis, by the way. When a secret has been leaked at school, Ronnie Ann's suspicious of who the leaker is, even her close friends. Now, it all starts out as a normal day where the squad will just play a game of Truth or Dare, where we would hear things about their secrets, like Casey being the mysterious stinker and Ronnie Ann having a bad dream that she married Artemis. So to begin, were you intrigued about these secrets? Like, this is just secrets. Like, yeah, I get it. Like, they're secrets. They're supposed to hide them because they're good friends and all.
Oh, boy. I have been waiting for this moment.
Oh, my God. Yeah, I know.
The moment where I completely obliterate this episode. Episode limb to limb.
See, I'm trying to best to be sane. I'm trying to be sane while Omid is crazy.
Goes crazy today.
I don't know why you're talking about this, man.
before I get into this, I want to put a huge disclaimer right now. Now, just because I really, really, really hate this episode, it doesn't mean that I don't respect those that disagree with me. Obviously, you guys are free to have your own opinions. And if you guys feel it's not as bad, or if you guys at least like this episode, that's perfectly fine. You guys enjoy it. But as for me, no, I don't at all. Anyways, now on to the first scene. Believe it or not, it was okay. Nothing to write home about, but, the opening scene was decent. The secrets themselves I found to be a bit weird because basically it's just random Mad Lib writing for no real reason other than just friends sharing secrets, which isn't necessarily a bad thing because, well, it's friends sharing secrets. That's what friends do. Okay, that's fair. And also, even then, there were a couple moments in particular which I was not a fan of per se. Not a fan. One was where Ronnie Ann mentioned she had a weird dream about being married to Artemis for some reason. Mm-hmm. I'm like, no, your dreams are wrong, okay? You got the wrong guy. Your dreams are wrong, okay? It's the wrong guy you're married to, okay? We all know the perfect guy that should be in your dreams, inside and out of your dreams, okay? I'm just saying.
Have you forgotten your woods? Have you forgotten your woods?
And so after she mentions her dream, and after Sid and Nikki scream like fangirls after hearing about it, Lara just says, "Was I there?" I was
no! Don't you dare bring that up because I thought that was literally like a ship between Laird and Ronnie Ann. No, shut up.
It was just felt kind of random. I'm just like, she would have said so if that was the case, dude. I don't know where that came from, but whatever. Like I said, the first scene of the episode was weird, but it was at least harmless. But what comes after that, oh boy, the amount of harm, the amount of damage it has done to these poor kids. Oh, we're going to touch upon that right now because from here on out, the episode gets bad. Like extremely, extremely bad.
Here's the thing though. Ronnie Ann had a bad dream just because she married Artemis, and obviously you're kind of thinking, oh my God, where's your opinion with Lincoln? Where has that been? And I guess that didn't happen in a dream, or we haven't heard about her dream and she never just wants to blab it out. I guess she wants to keep her very, very innermost secrets to the squad in a later time to say. Still though, I mean, it's weird to actually have like a dream with Artemis and Ronnie Ann. I'm like, weird. I love the fact that like Laird actually popped up and said, was I in it? And I'm like, okay, stop it. We were thinking you were shipping Laird and Ronnie Ann by Home Improvement, but no, it's not it. Please don't ever
Oh
bring up
yeah,
that idea, guys.
yeah. I'm like, don't get us any ideas, okay? We all know that Lair's not the guy for Ronnie yet, okay? We all know that is a different character with the same first initial, okay? It's the different L boy that is perfect for Ronnie Yen. Not this guy. Come on, not
Not
this
this
boy.
guy, exactly. And I was just really like shocked to see that. I'm like, why? No, nonetheless, I was just really interested in the fact that, yeah, look, they have their own secrets. The other thing too is that we never heard the other secrets as well. Like, what was Nikki's secret? What's Samir's secret or Sid's secret? We get to know later why Sid actually doesn't have a secret. But the other two we never heard of, so I'm guessing they're just like random stuff. Because like what Samir just pretty much was like walking backwards. That was his thing. Um, what was it? Casey pretty much saying like he's the stink monster or something. It's
Mystery
just
Stinker. Mystery
yeah, mystery
Stinker.
stinker. Nonetheless, it's just little plain secrets. And the other thing too, what Sid said was just promising that all of them will not blab about it because that's the rule about truth or dare. So yeah, good to know. Hold on for a second. I have a meeting here. Hold up for a second here, guys. I thought I had it. Where'd it go? All right, sorry about that. Anyways, the next day it spread like wildfire. I'm like, oh, okay. First with Ronnie Ann being embarrassed, having her dream actually being exposed at her in school that made her cry. First off, what the heck? And why did it come to this? Why did it come to this? Why did it come to this? Please explain. Why the hell did we have to actually see a scene like this? Omid, you can go ahead and just go in a bash now. Oh, I'm angry. I'm angry at this too, by the way. So yeah.
Wow. Why? Just why? Honestly, I already hate you so much, episode. I already just hate you so much already. First off, way to ruin Becky's character after throwing pains. Okay, yeah, some could argue that technically throwing pains wasn't aired in America, it was aired in Canada. But even taking that aside, like Becky wasn't portrayed as a mean girl. Like even if you take throwing pains away, like Becky was just portrayed as yeah, crazy. She was psycho, but she was never mean spirited. Okay, she was never female Chandler. Okay, so this does not work. Second off, look at poor Ronnie Ann. She's literally humiliated in front of the whole school, and Artemis himself was in on it. Like, seriously, when did every one of these kids turn into Chandlers? No, not jackasses, just jackasses is too kind. So for some reason, all these people are Chandlers. This just feels needlessly cruel, and it shows Ronnie Ann getting humiliated and running away crying. For no legitimate reason at all, for no purpose. It's not like she did anything wrong, like a teacher's friend. Like, all she did was just share secrets with her friends and just leave the classroom, and that's it. Oh, and to add insult to injury, Becky screams, "Runaway bride!" And they continue laughing. Honestly, what really pisses me off about this is not just the fact that it's one of my favorite characters who gets humiliated, runs away crying. Honestly, this plays a part of a much larger problem I have with the episode, and I'm going to touch upon it later.
I'm just like, okay, it's weird because like the transition for them actually playing from Truth or Dare onto a scene where Ronnie Ann's secrets got exposed, I think just absolutely angered me. First off, the whole setup was absolutely unnecessary. It's just more of like, why don't you just tease her and say like, hey, I heard you had a bad dream about Artemis, ha 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 ha. Instead, you actually made like a whole scene, like literally a wedding scene, where Artemis is right there and the whole school is pretty much laughing at Ronnie Ann. So to say the least, Becky pretty much set her up for disaster and obviously made Ronnie Ann cry. Here's the other thing too. Becky, we never have much character emphasis on her. Ever. Like, we only had her in a couple of scenes, but we never expect her to be like this mean to Ronnie Ann. I'm like, why would you do this? Like, she pretty much is like maybe worse than Chandler to say. I'm actually reaching that level, like maybe worse than Chandler to actually do something like this.
Yeah,
And
at least Chandler didn't make Lincoln cry.
And Becky's a brand new character. I'm like, Becky's like just a random girl, a secondary character that maybe will have her own episode eventually, but what is going on here? She's just making me look at her just terribly. So it kind of tells me like the next time I watch the Two of Clubs, I'll not watch that just because Becky's in it. Just to tell you, like,
Yeah,
Becky and Artemis are in it, and they're both obviously all both us obviously negative people to Ronnie Ann now after this scene. So it's like, oh,
exactly.
and to say the least, I felt so sorry for Ronnie Ann. She had to go through this and pretty much had her whole class pretty much laugh at her. I'm like, this is terrible. This is terrible treatment to a main character, and I'm like, why do we have to make her go through this in the beginning of the episode? Why do we
Exactly.
have to actually
For
start
no
with that?
reason. Like literally they had this like they decided to like set up all this wedding stuff like for no reason. Like it was just to pretty much maximize the cruelty, the unnecessary cruelty to the characters that we know and love. And that's why it pisses me off to no end. Look at Ronnie Anne's tears. Like literally, I'm like Lori Loud right now. I'm gonna feel like Lori Loud be like, you made Ronnie Anne cry.
I would do the same thing too, and I would pretty much. I have to hate her. I mean, I have to hate Becky. It kind of sucks because, like, we had our first impressions with Becky, but now we hate her just because she started bullying Ronnie Ann. And like I said, at the moment right now, worse than Chandler. Like, that already gives you a bad level, like who she is, or how my thoughts of her is.
Yeah, honestly, at least Chandler didn't make Lincoln cry or anything like that.
Exactly. I'm like, oh, why do we have to actually put this down to the main character? This is so bad. Anyways, I don't know if anything else you want to bring up from this scene. I got nothing else to say.
Yes. Now, I wouldn't go so far as to say that Becky is worse than Chandler, but at the same time, I feel she's pretty inconsistent. Where it's like I feel like Becky is sort of a plot device now, where it's like nowadays she's just using the writers are just using Becky to further advance the plot. Like you see this in Teacher Spread, where she just like flat out announces to everyone that Arturo's dating Miss Caliana, which drives the plot. And I'm just like, can Becky like play a more significant role in that? Does she have to just be a obnoxious plot device? That's it.
Exactly. And the way we get introduced to her is like that's not a way to do it. So I hope that if there's something with Becky, that we actually have an episode that can actually make her happy. I know we have one. It's just that it hasn't aired in Nickelodeon yet. Uh, but to say the least, now it just makes me feel like angry. The fact that we had to let Ronnie Ann, the main character of the show, the person that we love, end up having like this bullying moment. I'm like, why? Why would you do this? Especially in an episode like this. All right, moving on. You want to move on, or you want to continue talking about this, about this scene?
Honestly, like this scene just pisses me off so bad that I'm not even going to talk about this anymore because it's not worth any more of my time.
Look, we're gonna continue more bashing on this a
Neither is
whole
this.
lot.
I mean,
We're gonna
neither
talk
is this
more.
entire episode, but we're
If you
still
want to
talking
bring
about it
up more,
nonetheless.
we could. We have a lot to talk about in this episode, by the way. Okay, let's just move on. Immediately, Ronnie Ann went straight to her squad to find out who the suspicious person that texted the secret. But with no one saying a word, she immediately would do what it takes to find out who leaked it. First off, how do you like the role that Ronnie Ann was in?
So pretty much, um, so of course, she goes through, like I said, she goes through each of her friends, like their secrets, like I suppose, like first off, I'm just honestly, I'm just going to say this. It is perfectly understandable. It is understandable that Ronnie Ann would think of her friends as sus, as let's face it, they were the only ones on the rooftop playing Truth or Dare, but not the only ones on the rooftop at that moment. I'm going to touch upon that later.
So my thing is that it's awesome that to see Ronnie Ann pretty much go on a roll. She's pretty much saying like I was defeated, but at the same time I'm like I am not letting this down. I am going to find out who this person is, knowing that it's pretty much you guys who pretty much blabbed the secret. I'm going to go straight to each of you and hoping that I can find which one actually blabbed the secret. So proud for Ronnie Ann to actually stand up there, but at the same time, I understand how freaking like embarrassing Ronnie Ann is right now. So that's why she's in a hoodie, in glasses and stuff like that. So yeah, I love the courageous little act with Ronnie Ann. At the same time, look, she doesn't deserve this treatment, guys. Why? We have to go through this. All right, so as she would go through each of her friends, their secrets would also be exposed as well, except for Sid, which all of them would blame the leaks on her. First off, what'd you think of all of people? Would Sid be the one to leak out the secrets?
Okay, so after we get a collection of scenes that show just how mean-spirited wastes of space kids can be by laughing and pointing at their secrets for absolutely no reason at all, because for some reason this episode really hates Ronnie and really hates it, really hates, these kids for I don't know, God knows what. Of course, now after that, when they confronted Sid, I'm just like, no, of course I wouldn't think of Sid as the leaker. Are you kidding me? We know Sid wouldn't do this. And honestly, Ronnie Ann should know too. I mean, I get the other kids might be suspicious of her for being the culprit because they didn't share nearly as much chemistry with Sid as Ronnie Ann does. But for some reason, to me, Ronnie Ann being suspicious of Sid just feels so out of character when she comes to this, honestly, because she's known Sid for years. She knows Sid has no malice to do this. So it doesn't make much sense in terms of Ronnie Ann's character for me.
Yeah, I don't feel like Sid was the one to do it, but with everybody pretty much saying like, look, Sid didn't actually say any secrets, but at the same time, we didn't actually see the full game of Truth or Dare, so I'm guessing Sid actually didn't say any secrets. That's why they're all blaming it on her, just because of the fact that she's the one who didn't say any secrets, and she could be the mysterious caller. So I love the fact that Sid is trying to defend herself by like sealing her lips and things like that. And I cannot say that. Look, and we all know her. She's just a sweetheart throughout these 2 seasons of the Casagrandes. We've just known her as a sweetheart. She was, free spirited and fun and very happy. I wouldn't expect her to actually backstab her best friend and blab out secrets like that. I'm like, this can't be Sid. I can't, like, at first thought, I just think this is not her. This cannot be her. It cannot be Sid because she's just too precious for her to be like that. I'm like, why would we think that it's all on Sid? And I hate the fact that like all the friends are pretty much just like all like, I'm guessing they're all leading with Ronnie Ann. They're pretty much like going with Ronnie Ann and saying like, Sid, why did you do this? And then everybody else is also doing the bashing as well. Sid, why did you do this? And all this stuff. And I felt so bad for Sid. I'm like, she can't even defend herself. It's just feels so sad to see Sid like this. And I'm like, why are we blaming it on Sid?
Like, she tries to defend herself, but then these other kids won't listen. That's the problem. They won't listen to her.
Yeah, exactly. And I don't know. It was the way that the whole setup was. It was just Either way, also the other thing that the next scene we are also going to talk about right now, I think also it kind of makes it worse for Sid also, and also I would say also the group of friends to say. Anyway, let's move on to it. So the squad would work to plan out something to make Sid blab out the secret by making up a secret of their own. It actually did work out, and now they actually have a reason why they would blame Sid, because she would be the leaker, or so they assume. Did you think that she deserves this treatment, this silent treatment with them, even if she's doing her best to say that she wasn't the person who leaked the secrets and all?
Like I said, I feel so bad for Sid. Like, she literally just got canceled by her group of friends, including her BFF Ronnie Ann, who should know better. Hello? Like, seriously, Ronnie Ann, you seriously couldn't look more into it? You just had to go along with the Sid Chang is over party? Oh, but that's not the worst part about that aspect. We're going to get to that later.
I felt bad for Sid. I mean, when she was just quote unquote canceled, when the squad was pretty much saying like, "Oh, I hate this part here," where Ron saying like, "I'm never going to talk to you again." I'm like, this whole friendship that you had together with Sid is all broken because of this rumor. I'm like, oh, Ronnie Ann, how can you become such a mean girl like her? How can you be such a mean girl to Sid? Uh, the whole setup was like weird because like Ronnie Ann and Sid are best friends, but because of one secret, Ronnie Ann and Sid are not best friends anymore and pretty much like are mortal enemies. I'm like, wow, this is crazy.
Well, here's the thing. Here's the thing, though. Like, honestly, judging by the summary, I'm going by what the summary said. I remember the summary saying that when a Sid secret spills out, Ronnie Ann and Sid questions whether or not they could be friends. Now, here's the thing. I am intrigued by the idea, like at first glance of the summary. This was a piss poor way to do it. This was a piss poor way to create drama. This was a piss poor way to break up the friendship because it's through convoluted, contrived writing. It's through mean-spirited, just characters acting like mean-spirited jerks for no reason. It's by unnecessary cruelty. So by that end, you sort of fail this episode all the way through because of its poor execution. So
and the other honestly, thing too is that's like I said, is the reason why I actually changed the synopsis. I mean, you actually were right there. That was actually the synopsis, the real synopsis. I love how it was misconstrued in the
It was
episode. How was
misconstrued.
misconstrued?
It was the worst way you could have done it. Like, honestly, I'm all for, tension between Ronnie and Sid. Don't get me wrong, because, there is potential for good writing and friends do get, intense moments from time to time. But let me tell you, like I said, this was a piss poor execution in terms of writing.
It is. It is. We can talk more about that later, but either way, I mean, we're only halfway through the episode, and right now, Sid is currently canceled. I feel that there's like a worse punishment to say, even if it wasn't her. I'm like, wow, you're just never gonna listen to her anymore because you thought that Sid was the person who leaked your secrets. So do you feel for them that they needed to do that to Sid?
Yeah, like I said, like it turns out that it's not just the kids who are, being spirited jerks themselves. Like, no, these kids, like, while understandably so because they are embarrassed, like I said, they should have at least looked much more into it because they should have known by now. They've been with Sid for months, especially Ronnie Ann. Like I said, like I'm just flabbergasted that it's Ronnie Ann herself that decided to
Right.
not talk to Sid and just go
I
along
I,
with them.
I feel like it is. I feel like what kind of breaks this thing here is the fact that Ronnie Ann actually just like was very angry at Sid, pretty much saying, "I'm never gonna talk to you anymore." I'm like, wow, the friendship of 2 seasons pretty much is broken after this. And to be frank, this is actually a season finale episode, and I'm like, wow, really going to break it because of the secret being blapped.
Yeah, you just had to end it with this. I don't know what. Move
Yeah.
on, please.
Anyways, let's move on. Sid would. So here's the thing. Obviously, Sid is pretty much being silenced. Sid would come to a realization that she sleep texts while watching videos, as well as dance with a snake and eat a carton of milk. Holy crap! I guess. Here's the only good part about that, by the way. Sid's little realization about what happens when you actually watch videos when you sleep. Um, that may have been why those rumors would have been seen by everyone. So Sid would do something drastic by telling her most embarrassing secret. Do you think at first this was actually a good solution?
Okay, this came out of nowhere. Like nowhere was it hinted or mentioned like at the fact that until now, like all of a sudden Sid all of a sudden just quote unquote sleep text or does
Mm-hmm.
weird things while watching videos. Just, why? I understand they're trying to make Sid a quirky character, but no, this is not the way to do it. This sort of feels like a cop out, but no, this is actually not the cop out ending. There's actually a cop out that's actually even worse than what we thought this was going to be, which we're going to touch upon later. Also, how the hell does she end up eating an entire milk carton? Is her appetite really that strong? I mean, for God's sake, she's a small girl. There's no way her appetite could be that big. Also, but I will give it this, like it's a small little credit, just a small snippet, little credit where credit is due. The dance with the snake was actually pretty cute. Like the dance with the snake was actually pretty cute. Yeah, I'll give it that. Everything else about that scene in particular, though, yeah, I think Stanley Chan just represented how I felt about it.
Here's the thing, though. I actually thought this scene was actually pretty funny. The fact that the fact that Ronnie Ann, sorry, not Ronnie Ann. Sorry, let me go over here. I actually thought the scene is funny. The fact that Sid just has this little random moment of her actually sleepwalking and doing all of this random stuff, eating a milk carton. I thought that was actually pretty funny. Look, she's just randomly, and then she randomly like bothers Adelaide while she sleeps, and I'm like, oh my god, what's wrong with you, Sid? Apparently, it's kind of like quote unquote drunk Sid. I guess. I guess like when you watch videos, you end up like being a zombie or something like, and you dance with
like,
snakes and things like that. I care. That's the only thing I would actually give credit for. It's really funny for Sid to be like this. This is just the joyful Sid that we know. So yeah, that's cool. At the same time, oh, do you think that actually led to you actually texting those to pretty much everyone? Oh, Sid. First off, yeah, I feel like it was a little cop out because the fact that like, yeah, this is just one random reason why Sid, was it? This is one random reason why Sid, just start out to blab each other or would try to put the case in the story. The fact that Sid, spread those rumors, but like you said, I mean, it is kind of random how they did it. Kind of like what you said, a little cop out, but still, weird. It's weird but funny. I guess that's the way to say it. The other thing too is that the way that Sid was trying to resolution. Sorry, resolve everything by pretty much actually blabbing her whole secret out. Do you think it was actually right for her to do that? Even if, she was the one to be blamed for, or quote unquote blamed for spreading those rumors?
Okay, now Now, this is where honestly things just get 1,000 times worse. Like after that whole random, Sid sleeping scene,
Oh, wait, wait,
like
wait. We're not there yet. We're not there yet. I was just saying, like, did you feel? I was just saying, like, did you feel Sid? Did you feel Sid was actually not was? What do you think it was a good solution to actually have Sid actually say her most random secret, her most embarrassing secret?
you know, I kind of honestly wish that they went with that direction. Ronnie Ann's sleepwalking, like sort of like
Sid,
sleep doing the thing.
Sid sleepwalking.
Sid. I'm sorry.
We're not getting out of place here. We know how bad this episode is. We're getting out of place here.
Sorry. I sort of wish that they went with the whole Sid sleepwalking and pretty much going to find a solution and her sort of like going that route. But no, because let me tell you, the direction that they went with later on turns out to be far worse.
Yeah. All right. So let's move on to the next morning, because Ronnie Ann would soon find out that it wasn't Sid who actually sent those texts. It was actually Breakfast Bot, controlled by Sergio, that would send them. First off, did you think this was a cop out move? I feel like this was the ultimate cop out move for the episode. And how much would you hate Sergio after doing something like this? Oh no, here comes Ovid. He's already angry. Look at him. You actually had to walk out the door. Wow, this is how bad it was. Did you scream? Did you like scream into the window or something? What happened?
I would take. Okay, now this is honestly where things just got 1,000 times worse. Somehow, this episode just managed to sink 1,000 leagues under the sea. Not even hit rock bottom, just 1,000 leagues under. You can't get worse than the third act of this episode. First off, let's start off with Ronnie Ann's reaction to where Sid mentions that she plans to get humiliated, move town, change her name to Julio, and all this stuff. How does Ronnie Ann react? Does she think, oh my God, poor Sid, or like, oh my God, I don't want Sid to humiliate herself, or oh my God, what if Sid actually does move away? Oh my God, I gotta stop her, and maybe what she didn't mean to do it, like all this stuff. What does Ronnie Ann do instead? I'll tell you what she does. We don't know what her reaction is. Well, at least she's finally admitting it.
Oh,
wow!
Don't get me started on that. I mean, wow.
What a
Ronnie Ann, you would actually do that? Wait, you would actually do that to your best friend?
No. Episode. Why? No, screw you. How dare you? This is a spit in the face. It is a spit in the face to this beautiful Sidani friendship. Just a huge spit in the face. Shame on you, episode. Ronnie Ann would not do that. She would at least be more reasonable than that, because it's clearly hinted in the letter. It's clearly stated in the letter that she didn't mean to do that. It's clear that, the reason why she did is because she was sleep texting. Therefore, she had no conscious decision to do that. Okay, so no, like honestly, just no. If you're trying to make Ronnie Ann justify and say that, no, this is where it falls flat on its face, because Ronnie Ann does know from now on that, Sid did at least learn to tell the truth, and, it's hinted at that Sid did this by accident. Second off, now, the reveal itself, this is honestly the worst cop-out ending I've ever seen in an episode. So apparently, the whole reason why the friendship almost broke up in the first place, the whole reason why Ronnie Ann got humiliated and ran away crying, the whole reason why these poor kids got laughed at, mocked, ridiculed, and overall went through a living hell was because, you guessed it, it was Sergio messing with Breakfast Bot, causing him to malfunction and causing him to send all these texts. What the... No. You know what? No. I'm not going to say it. I am not going to say it. This episode is so infuriating. so needlessly cruel, so mind-numbingly awful, it does not deserve to have the luxury of me completing this exact phrase. It is that awful.
It was. You pretty much put it on the You pretty much nailed it on the head there, Omid. Look, Sid's about to say her most embarrassing secret, and Ronnie Ann was not there to support her. I'm like, I guess it was so infuriating for Ronnie Ann that, you know, I, pretty much Ronnie Ann would just pretty much be okay or just be fine with the fact that Sid was going to blab out her most embarrassing secret that she's going to move away forever. And I'm like, Ronnie Ann, what's going on here? I thought at this whole entire thing, you know, I thought for friends, to be honest, that they would, say, Sid, don't do this. I'm so sorry. We should seriously clear things up. But no, Ronnie Ann had to actually say like she deserves it. I'm like, wow, Ronnie Ann, this is so out of character for you, out of a person that's totally your best friend, way out of line. I'm like, wow, Ronnie Ann, please. I thought we loved you, but you're pretty much bringing the enemy to Sid.
Exactly.
But
Like I think even I don't think even the Loud House season one version of Ronnie Ann would be, this cruel. She not even that version would go this far.
yeah, exactly. I'm like, oh, either way, like, if this is going to actually go this way, I'm like, this is the worst way to actually break a Sidani friendship to say. And here's the other thing too. If here's the other thing too. In the little scenario, if Breakfast Box ever never got revealed, holy crap, Sid would pretty much be out of the Casagrandes, and it's the worst way possible. So think about that, by the way. Um, and then the second thing too, with Breakfast Spot come in and Sergio started putting all the buttons and stuff like that. Uh, I didn't know Breakfast Spot can actually become a texter. I didn't know Breakfast Spot can become a phone, can pretty much like send messages to everybody's phones. And pretty much Sergio pretty much texting the fact that oh, this happened, that happened, and I'm like, wait, oh god, this is supposed to be the way that everything gets resolved. This is
And
bad because
my God, like, and even like Sergio just trying to get out of here, be like, well, would you look at the time? I'm just like, you don't have a watch on you, you dumb bird brain.
But you
Just,
could have no.
God.
Here's the other thing I hate too. Where's Sergio's punishment after all of this? He literally just got away with it. Literally just got away with it. I'm like, you're really just gonna let Sergio gone? Just like that?
Literally scot free.
This is why we need bird soup. This is why we need bird soup right now.
It's already bad enough that you got Sergio tied into all this for some reason. Like, yeah, like honestly, like this further emphasizes why Sergio is the worst Casagrande episode for me. It's just the absolute worst because this guy, this bird, almost broke up Ronnie and Sid's friendship. He almost broke up the entire friendship of the crew, and never gets any punishment for it. It's just he gets hit by a wall. Ronnie Ann accidentally steps on Sergio while Breakfast Spot laughs at him, and that's pretty much it. Like she doesn't trap Sergio in a cage and be like, "Hey Sergio, since you got us humiliated, we're gonna get you humiliated too. You're gonna share your secret."
If there was anything that they should have done, would actually have extra couple of minutes to actually punish Sergio at the end. That would have been a better ending instead of actually having them. We'll explain the ending at the after this, but Sergio needs to deserve some punishment, yet it never showed. And I'm like, he really ran away with it, guys. You really fucked up this. Sergio needs to actually get punished for it, but no, he actually ran away with it, and I'm like, oh my god. Like I said, very infuriating. That scene itself was just so infuriating. The fact that everything was just absolutely construed. Like, what the hell is going on here? Oh, you're letting Sid pretty much just sell her most embarrassing secret that she would move away. Why, Ronnie Ann? Couldn't you at least have a resolution with Sid before she did that? You're her best friend. You could have actually stepped in and said, "Hey, Sid, stop it," so that I won't let you actually move away forever. What about Sergio and Breakfast Spot? Okay, I know Breakfast Spot was there, but the fact that Sergio was actually the person actually accidentally texting everybody, that I think was a huge cop out itself. That was actually a really bad cop out. Also, I mean, really, that's supposed to be your answer? What would have been the better solution? Just a random person who actually is just stalking them, texting everybody the secret? I guess
exactly.
It is Sergio.
It would have been a much more better explanation than this. Like this is pretty much all because, oh, it's just Sergio and his wacky bird hijinks causing everything. Don't mind. Like, we all love that sleeper. No, we don't. We absolutely hate him. We want him to die. We want Kentucky Fried Parrot.
No, I would love some right now. Here's the other thing too. I think this is worse than Bad Cluck. I get it. Like you were pretty much killed a bird. But I'm thinking you killed a friendship in this episode, and I think your actions here are a lot worse than Bad Cluck to me. Do you think
Oh,
so?
yes. Honestly, his actions here are worse than any other action in any other episode, including the bird has flown, and that's saying
Yeah.
something.
I I don't know what else to say, but yeah, I mean, this. Okay, here's the thing: Sergio definitely looked like a bad character in this episode, especially during the ending. Um, why he didn't get punished at the end obviously was a huge writing error to the writers, and they really should have done something. At least a minute of Sergio, pretty much like what blabbing his most blabbing his most embarrassing secrets instead of actually having the group do that same thing. Ugh, that whole scene itself was just a disaster, I must say.
Definitely, man.
All right, so okay, I'm not gonna stop. I'm not gonna talk about this. Let's continue on here because immediately Ronnie and the squad would try to stop her from telling her most embarrassing secret, which she would end up revealing to be a birthmark of Abe Lincoln on her foot, where she would sometimes talk to it or even make it talk to her. Is that really a secret, or is that more of an impressive thing to look at?
What's so bad about an Abraham Lincoln birthmark? Honestly, I gotta say it's pretty impressive that you have, a president of the United States, good president of the United States, mind you, as a birthmark on her foot. And I'm just like, oh, okay, well, that's kind of a quirk. Like, that's another thing too. What I don't like about this ties into a much bigger problem, which I'm gonna touch upon right now. Now, in the Loud Casa universe, pretty much each of the kids have their own quirks that makes them stand out, right? Well, that universe shows that these cast of characters, like, they're a much more wholesome, much more accepting environment, than this. Like, this pretty much sort of like breaks the mold. It sort of breaks that in a way, because they're all turned into mean spirited characters who just laugh at whatever weird thing that they do. And I'm just like, okay, that doesn't work, because in a way, like all you guys have weird stuff too. You just don't show it as much. So I really don't understand, why you have to resort to this. This is not how you do it in Loud Casa. Okay, it's not like not like, I don't know, 90s high school cliche comedies where it's just, like, in order to be popular, you have to mold it to this perfection type of stuff. It's like, no, that stereotype is gone. I feel like this episode brings back the stereotype back, and that's what pisses me off.
Mm-hmm. Most definitely. Here's the thing. I mean, like, okay, so you have a birthmark of Abe Lincoln, and you try to talk to it, and it talks to you. To say the least, I was more impressed at that instead of actually making it a embarrassing thing. I think the fact that it's embarrassing, just the fact that you actually talk to it. But the birthmark itself should be something impressive. I don't understand why that's the biggest secret for her. I think there's something worse than that. And that could be like
Exactly.
in like really bad levels to say. I'm not thinking about like how a secret Sid could actually have. But to say the least, though, I mean, having a birthmark on Abe Lincoln is nothing. It's nothing that embarrassed for. If I was actually having that, I would actually show it off. But yeah, to each their own. I don't know. This is weird. Like, why would Sid actually do that? I don't know. I thought there was a more different secret than the one that she has there. I thought that wasn't really that impressive.
Yeah, like I said, like, it's these characters making fun of them for doing different things. And like I said, the Loud Castle universe embraces uniqueness. It embraces people
Mhm.
doing different things, having different quirks. And the way that these other students are treating Ronnie and squad, like, it sort of mocks them. It sort of makes them feel unwelcomed for, doing their own thing for whatever. That's what really gets me.
Mhm. All right. Now, here's the thing because she leaks out her huge secret to everybody. Here's the solution the others of the squad would also leak out their secrets too. Did you think this was a good solution?
Um, Now, from the Ronnie squad side of things, it was nice of them to sort of do that for Sid. But at the same time, though, like I said, because they were put in this position because of a certain
Sergio.
bird,
Yeah,
of,
Sergio.
of a certain waste of feathers. Like it sort of makes it really makes me feel bad for them, and it makes me think they deserve so much better than this. Honestly, what they should have done was that they should have honestly just sort of took Sid to the side and just tell him to leave them alone or something like that. Like it would have been much better than that, but no, they decided to pretty much have their own embarrassing secrets as well. For example, you got Ronnie Ann doing the birds like I'm just like Ronnie Ann, we know you. We've seen you dance more weirdly than that, okay? Like this doesn't even come close to the other weird dances that you do, okay? You dance more wackly like in the other episodes. I'm just like, what's up with that? Like, how's that? It's like I said, it's one of those Mad Lib it's one of those Mad Lib sort of screenwriting things, but in a done this way that's done poorly. Like this is like possibly the worst Mad Libbing script writing I've ever seen. Like the worst random writing thing I've ever seen. Also with Laird carrying around his blanket has never been watched. I'm just like, Linus Van Pelt would be insulted by this episode. Okay, Linus Van Pelt like would be disgusted by these kids laughing at Laird because of that. How dare you?
Mm-hmm.
And then you got like Samir Mayo gel for some reason, whatever. Sam having like the biggest toe, like hairy toe,
It's
and then you
Nikki.
got Nikki. I get the names mixed up. I'm so sorry. Sorry, it's really sorry. I got my mind scrambled. Sorry, brain fog.
Uh,
Right. Anyway, you got Nikki with the big hairy toe. Then you got like Casey hiding his big jar of teeth. I'm
yeah,
just like, what is there to laugh about these? Like in a way, like these aren't really that bad. Like I said, it's just like a contrived way to um, boost up the unnecessary cruelty and get the kids to laugh at Ronnie and Squad for no reason at all, because clearly this episode doesn't really understand how kids work. Okay, like kids,
yeah,
like they don't. It's true that like they aren't the most moral, but at the same time they're not this mean spirited.
right, right. My thing though, I think the solution is just you pretty much put yourself in a freaking wall at the end of the episode. You're pretty much like at the end, how are you going to resolve everything? I thought at the resolution would be like punish Sergio for what he did. No, instead you actually just put Sid in a spot where she would say her most embarrassing secret, and then everybody else pretty much says their most embarrassing secret as well. Eh, I think this would have been a whole lot better if they actually did, have more time and actually punish the bird. But instead, we ended up getting them getting embarrassed with just laughter. Here's the thing: the solution is just pretty much them just saying secrets. Nonetheless, look, those secrets are not coming back. I feel like in season three and ongoing, those secrets are not coming back again. It's just more of like a slap in the face saying like, "Oh, this is just their embarrassing secrets." Okay, move on to the next episode.
Exactly.
Not a good.
That's why it renders this episode completely pointless. It renders these secrets completely pointless. So what's the point of this episode? Nothing. It's just thrown in just for the sake of cruelty and to show how kids are really just mean spirited brats after all. Like
Yeah,
kids are really just
I feel
chandlers.
so.
I'm just
I
like,
feel so. I
yeah.
feel so. I feel so angry. Just the fact that like these kids got to be embarrassed like that, especially how you end an episode like this. I feel like the writing of this was just absolutely jumbled up. Like, yeah, gossip. Being a gossip person obviously does have its like obviously some bad sides to it, but the way they organized it and everything was just felt so out of place. I never expected to see this. I never expected to see that. Never see cop out like solutions like this. To say the least, not terrible. um,
Yeah.
lastly, anything else you want to point out in this episode?
Um honestly, I honestly thought that after episodes like Blinded by Science and Teacher's Fret, that I already have seen the worst of the entire La Casa universe. But man, oh man, was I wrong. Dead wrong. This episode managed to make the two episodes I mentioned look like Annie Award winners by
Wow,
comparison.
wow, that's saying
I would
something.
ra- I would rather watch the utmost grossness of Flip and the episode manipulation of Blinded by Science. I would rather watch Ronnie Ann's, selfish out of character moment trying to break up Ronnie Ann's dad and her Ronnie Yan's teacher. I would rather watch Lynn's obnoxious, out of control, no, never stop gloating in Leonard Takes All. Pretty much, I'd rather watch any of those than this. This is the most contrived, the most convoluted, the most poorly written, the most needlessly mean spirited, the most uncomfortable episode I've ever had to watch from either show. I mean, okay, 10% of the episode was decent, I'll admit, but 90% of the episode manages to botch it down. No, just no. It doesn't work where you basically have all these characters turn into complete Chandlers for no reason. It doesn't work where you have Ronnie Yan act so out of character, especially towards Sid. It doesn't work where you have Sergio getting away scot-free after causing all this destruction towards Ronnie Yan and her friends. And it most certainly doesn't work where you have such a terrible, contrived secret after terrible, contrived secret, followed by the friendship breaking up due to something that should have not happened in the first place. And to top it off, you have the most cop-out ending I've ever seen that I can forgive the endings have much ado about noshing and not allowed for their endings. But that's where the episode truly stands out as being the worst. It's mean-spirited. It's mean-spirited and cruel towards these kids that we love to have as our own. Like, its mean-spirited levels reach like levels of the bad episodes of SpongeBob and the bad episodes of Foster's Home for Imaginary Friends. It's that needlessly cruel, tasteless, and mean-spirited that it just leaves a bad taste, leaves such an uncomforting, uncomfortness, within me. And all for what? All for what? For having characters doing random things for no reason at all. And so cruel, so harsh for no reason at all. For all that, this episode is going to be a 2 out of 10. The only reason I'm even being merciful and giving this another point, just one measly point, is because of its tame first minute episode and Sid dancing with the snake. And that's me being way too generous. But everything else is just no, never again.
So here's the thing that I would like to point out here, since we're talking about what else we saw from Gossipy Girl. What's with the name Julio, right? What's with the name Julio? Well, I mean, like, I get it. They want to move away and they say Julio. Like, I would love to change my name to Julio. You can't hear me? Oh, wait, can you hear me or not? I can hear you. All right, so I want to make sure y'all can hear me. Hopefully nothing happened with the microphone. No, either way, Omid said he can't hear me, but either way. To say the least though, what's with the name, like I said, what's with the name Julio?
I can hear you now.
Okay, that's hella weird. What the heck's going on?
Oh, no, I can't hear you now either.
What? Your mic? No, the mic should be fine. I don't know why it's being like this. I'm going to try this up again. Can you hear me now or not? It could be your headphones, dude. Check your headphones. All right, hold on for a sec. I want to make sure that I can be heard. I can hear you. I can hear you. I don't know if it could be your headphones, Omid, but let's see. Anyways. But yeah, I mean,
I
like
can hear
the
you
other
now.
thing. Okay, you can hear me now? Better now? Can you hear me now or not? Yeah, it is his computer. All right. Anyways, my God. All right. Could be his headphones. Can you hear me now or not? Can't be the phone. It can't be the microphone. It's working fine.
I can hear you now.
Can you hear me now? Okay. Yep. All right. Anyways, let's pick it up from the back here. Anyways, so what's up with the name Julio? Why is everybody actually wanting Julio as their name, right?
Yeah, it's so random. Like it's I don't know why it was weird.
um, Nonetheless, though, I mean, like I said, everything was like all written up or disorganizedly. I hate the fact that we have this disorganization of what is it, making them all mean. Especially the fact that they're trying to break up the Ronnie, sorry, the Sidani moments that are happening in this episode, and uh, if they were actually going to run with this, it was really not going to work out in the end. Um, Disorganized, terrible. Omid already gave it a 2 out of 10. To me, I would give it a 3 out of 10. The only thing that actually was delightful for me was the fact that Sid, had her funny moments. I mean, you gotta feel sorry for Sid in this episode because everybody's just trying to cancel her, and I'm like, this is not the way to do it, guys. And also the thing is, Ronnie Ann, why would you like get into a solution like that? At the end, you would have actually liked Ronnie Sid to move away because of the embarrassment like that. I mean, like, girl, she's your best friend. Why would you do this? But uh, this is like I said, everything was just all bad in this, and 3 out of 10 is the only way I can like take it from here.
Yeah, like I said, this episode is lucky I didn't give it a 1 out of 10. Like, if not for the first minute being passable and Sid dancing with the snake, this would have easily been 1 out of 10, maybe even 0 out of 10.
No, I hear other people are just giving it like a negative 10 out of 10, negative 0 out of 10. I'm kind of wondering, like, was it really, really was it really, really a bad episode? Would you really give it a 0 out of 10 because of that? I mean, you should at least get some good highlights out of this episode.
And
But
I did, like,
they're pretty hard, but they're pretty hard to actually find.
yeah, here's the thing. Like, I try to be fair with each and every episode, no matter how god awful or no matter how gossipy girlish it is, and pretty much look at its, goods and bads, its decent, its not so decent. So all around, like when you look at this, it's an episode where, like I said, 10% of it is passable, 90% are intolerable.
Exactly. That's a good way to put it. Okay, so here's the thing. Omi, when I came into this talk about this episode, I thought you were really gonna go harsh on this. So this is the harshest you ever done to an episode, huh?
Oh yeah, man. Like,
I thought like Blinded by Science was the worst one you ever done.
um yeah, here's the thing. I was sort of like going back and forth, seeing like honestly, it was came down to 3 episodes, which would be the top worst loud cast episode for me. This, Blind by Science, or Teacher's Threat. But like I said, what makes Gossipy Girl the worst out of those two is that worse than these two is that at least those 2 episodes, Blind by Science and Teacher's Threat, at least those episodes weren't unnecessary, needlessly cruel and mean spirited. Like, these characters getting, mocked and ridiculed for no reason at all for like 24/7. Like, at least those 2 episodes, I do see what they're trying to go for. Like, Blinded by Science did at least have the moral that you can't treat someone like an experiment. Like, even if this story was poorly handled and it got you to try to feel sympathy for Flip, I do see at least what they're trying to go for. With Gossipy Girl, honestly, the message was poorly like there was no message per se. It was just, point and laugh at the kids because, kids all around are terrible. That really misrepresents kids in general.
Yeah, it the way that they kind of like wanted to portray the episode was more like a gossip has been spread, so all you have to do is just figure out who it is, and it could be your friends. And it kind of says like your friends can never be trusted. Is this the point of the episode that you're trying to bring up here? Because that's terrible if it was going to be that way.
Like, I have no problem with be careful who you trust. But the thing is, you have to execute it in a way that's done well. You can't have it executed like whatever
this was. Yeah, whatever this was. So yeah, that was pretty much I think the show was tonight. The show overall tonight was going to be all about us pretty much bashing on Gossipy Girl, and that was it. That was it for the entire mini episode of the Loud Gossip Talks. To say the least, there were some good episodes that happened this last two weeks. But to say the least, Gossipy Girl definitely haunted us for quite some time, especially us Casagrandes fans.
Oh yeah, like this was quite a horror experience, and not in a good way.
It's not Halloween yet, man. Oh man. All right, so that's pretty much it for our mini episode of the Loud Casa Talks. Just remember that our Loud Casa Talks podcast is available for all podcast providers, whether it be Spotify, Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, Anchor, wherever you listen to podcasts. Our Loud Casa Talks podcast will be there. Just to let you know, we are coming back in November with brand new episodes of Loud Casa Talks. So do not worry about what's going on with the Loud Casa Talks. We'll be back November with brand new topics, so don't miss out on that. And remember to subscribe to our YouTube channel for more Loud House and Casagrandes content. And this is also where we record our Loud Casa Talk. So remember to subscribe, press that red button to subscribe, and also hit the bell to be notified whenever we're on. And the next time we're going to be on will be next Thursday. We're going to review last week's new episodes. Was it Squawk in the Name of Love and Date with Destiny? Just a little heads up. Yeah, Squawk with the Name of Love and the other episode, Date with Destiny. So yeah, those two episodes we're going to be discussing next Thursday. It's going to be a whole lot shorter, but something to actually relieve our minds after what happened today.
Yeah, and what better way to relieve our minds than a Sergio episode? Wow.
Oh,
after what he just did in Gossipy Girl, was like, no, you can't make me root for this guy anymore. No.
But see, Omid got haunted because he sees Sergio. That's the reason why.
He's a nightmare.
I got some bad news for you too, by the way, Omid. Giants lost today.
No. Why you have to add this on top of that, man? You had to mention it now, right after we just talked about.
I got the news from the commenters, so yeah, there you go. Damn.
Why after this you announced at the worst time? That's why.
Why? Is that a bad thing?
After I pretty much dissected and how like this is the worst Outcast episode ever, you gave me like Giant sauce. I'm just like, way to rub salt in the wound, man.
I'm sorry. I'm very sorry if that really did hurt you. I mean, heck, we have a Sergio episode to review again, so. Nonetheless, I must say, we had an eventful night, Omid. I'm pretty sure you pretty much got all your angers away.
Yes, all out of my system. And let me tell you, like, we're finally gonna get to one decent and the other really, really great. I think you know which is which.
Okay, that sounds good. All right, that's pretty much it for us here. Thank you all for those who actually watched the stream and commented and everything. I hope you enjoyed the show of us trashing on Gossipy Girl. But at the meantime, that's pretty much all of us here. That's pretty much it for us here. So thank you very much for watching. My name is Nate.
And this is Omid saying thank you all so much for watching. Thank you all so much for listening. I know it was a long-winded rant, but we finally got the worst out of the way. So now we could get to, like I said, next week, one is okay. The other is really, really awesome. And so, stay tuned like next week. And until next time, smell you later, amigos.